Good evening and dear televiewers, welcome on G24 for another edition of the main news in English. Have a seat and let's take a look at the headlines. In Gabon, the Prime Minister, head of government, Rose Christiane Oussoukaraponde, received in audience this Thursday Stanislas de Saint-Louvon, the Deputy Managing Director of Bollore Africa Logistics. Also in Gambia, President Adama Barrow was sworn in for a second 5-year term. The ceremony took place in the Independence Stadium near the capital. Stay tuned because the details and more in a feast of seconds. Once more, welcome back, dear televiewers. We open in Gabon during an audience. The Prime Minister, Rose Christiane Oussoukaraponde, exchanged this Thursday with Stanislas de Saint-Louvon, the Deputy Managing Director of Bollore Africa Logistics. Objective of this meeting, the development of the group's activities around the port of Owendo. Let's listen to the details. In a meeting with the head of government on Thursday, the Deputy Director General of Bollore Africa had the mission to address the issue of expanding the activities of the group around the port of Owendo.
It seemed important to us to share with her the challenges we face in collaboration with OPRAG, of course, and with the direction of customs, the issues of fluidity around the port, and the issues of competitiveness. These are very important, and we wanted to draw her attention to the excellent work that she has done so far by all these actors and our commitment to the CEO of OPRAG to precisely improve the situation of the port and make it even more competitive.
The challenges to be met are numerous. In collaboration with the customs and the OPRAG, the objective, according to Stanislas de Saint-Louvon, will be to ensure that the circulation of goods is done in the safest and fastest way.
For both the benefit of our port activity, but especially the Gabonese economy and cost of living, of course, the more there is fluidity, the lower the cost related to congestion and therefore with, of course, positive effects on the purchasing power and cost of living.
Some time ago, the Bollore Group received an offer to buy out its activities from the MSC Group, the world's leading shipping company. The benefits of this project will strengthen the offer and the activity of this African entity in these areas without difficulty from a social point of view. In the same line, the Prime Minister of Gabon and Adrien Broche, CEO of Perenco, also met this Thursday to take stock of activities in the country. This exchange comes a few months after the arrival of the latter in Gabon and was an opportunity for the CEO to present the strategy for this new year. John Cyril Ondomungu and the Prime Minister's press for more.
During the year 2021 in Gabon, a total of 7,000 people will be vaccinated against COVID-19 within the Perenco company, a support facilitated by the support of a mobile unit of the Ministry of Health.
We were able to protect a maximum number of people, so I explained that and thanked the Prime Minister for the support of this team to enable us to achieve this objective, which was to protect our employees and the work tool.
Under the project's investment, 260 billion CFA francs will be injected into the butane gas production sector in 2021, a figure revised upwards for the year 2022.
This year, our level of investment will be higher with a target of $450 million to increase the production, developing gas in Gabon.
For the beginning of 2023, the construction of a butane gas production plant in Batanga in the Maritime Ogwe region is attracting attention. The objective of this company is to produce 15,000 tons of butane gas per year.
In health, now two assistant nurses working at the Zion Health Center in the City District of Libreville were confused by plainclothes officers who presented themselves as volunteers who did not want to be injected, according to the daily newspaper L'Union. Their fault, having issued certificates of vaccination against COVID-19 in exchange for money, Thibaut Otungu-Tabaga recounts.
It is an open secret. In Gabon for several months now, it has been possible to get a certificate or even a vaccination booklet against COVID-19 without having been really vaccinated by accepting to pay money. The practice is so common and in all strata of society that many do not even hide from it anymore. However, at the Copil and particularly at the mixed brigade, they ensure that the phenomenon is monitored as shown by the number of people arrested in the country with false documents, including PCR tests. In the 6th district of Libreville, Lorette and Christian have also fallen into the trap of the national police. The two nurse assistants working at the Zion Health Center were arrested on September 14, 2021 by 3 plainclothes agents who presented themselves as volunteers who did not want to be injected, reports L'Union on a Thursday, January 20th, 2022. According to the Gabonese daily newspaper, the two women are strongly suspected of trafficking in vaccination books and simulating vaccination against COVID-19. While waiting to be presented to the judge, the two defendants have been suspended from their duties and placed in custody at the Directorate General of Documentation and Immigration. The ongoing investigation should determine the extent of the network and apprehend its various members.
Politics now, which takes us to Gambia, as announced in the headline, President Adama Barrow was sworn in for a second 5-year term. The ceremony took place in the Independence Stadium near the capital, where some foreign personalities had traveled for the occasion. Remember, during his first election in 2016, he had ended more than 20 years of authoritarian rule. More in this report by the details given by Arsène Marie and John Cyril Ondamungu.
In a festive and warm atmosphere at the Independence Stadium in Banjul, Adama Barrow once again insisted, as he did throughout the campaign, on infrastructure development. Within his new government, the re-elected president wants to continue building many roads and promises universal access to electricity for all Gambians within 5 years. But despite the construction of nearly 800 roads, Adama Barrow's first term in office is still marked by a difficult economic situation. The prices of basic goods have not stopped rising since 2017. The unemployment rate is close to 10% and job prospects remain scarce. Structural problems to which few answers have been provided so far. On agriculture, on which the Gambian economy is heavily dependent, Adama Barrow wants to increase rice production and achieve self-sufficiency for this commodity during his second term. On transitional justice, the head of state reaffirmed his willingness to make proposals quickly to implement the report of the Truth Commission published last December, which recommends prosecution of former President Yahya Jammeh. But for the past several months, the government seems to have become increasingly complacent towards these figures.
Also in Benin this time, the year 2021 was an election year. It saw Patrice Talon reappointed as head of state after a presidential election that saw the participation of 2 opposition parties, the FCBE and the RLC of the duo Koué-Agosa. The Democrats were unable to participate, and this remains a problem for them to date. Thibaut Otungu-Tabaga tells us more.
He referred to the failure of the party's fight to abolish sponsorship, the arrest of their candidate, Rekia Madugu, and more than 100 activists of the political formation. He also mentioned the exile of several executives of the party because of this situation. Despite the harshness of this situation, Nourenu Achade believes that the Democrats should be proud to have tested this vicious electoral system, symbol of the primist trickery, and to have shown its limits to the Beninese people, to the sponsors themselves, And to the rest of the world, we must rejoice to carry the hope of the Beninese people in a struggle against hunger, arbitrariness, for the restoration of democracy, continued Nouri Nouachade. He also addressed the leaders, activists, and supporters in prison. He then expressed the firm commitment of the Democrats to take part in the legislative elections of 2023. In this regard, the political party invited the Beninese people and the international community to be particularly attentive in this electoral process.
Finally, as relations between France and Mali soar rapidly, Paris is wondering whether it is time to stop providing military backup to a country run by a junta that has defied the international community. Our editorialist has signed this report, John Cyril Ondomungu.
France, which first deployed troops in the West African country 9 years ago to fight a jihadist insurgency, has more than 4,000 French forces stationed in the Sahel region of West Africa, most of them in Mali. Ties with Mali really deteriorated in the aftermath of a coup mounted by strongman Colonel Assimi Goïta in August 2020 and a subsequent tightening of the military's grip on the country. We are in Mali and we are staying, but not under just any conditions, French Foreign Minister Jean-Yves Le Drian told reporters at an EU Foreign Ministers meeting last week. So far, the Malian junta has not asked French and European troops to leave, but its messages are increasingly hostile, adding to growing anti-French sentiment in the country, which was formerly under French colonial rule. Bamako has already threatened to block military flights in and out of its airspace after accusing France of a clear breach of its airspace following the overflight of a French military jet. If confirmed, such a ban would handicap France's operational capabilities, pushing it further towards the exit. You can't help people against their will, said a source close to the French presidency. Observers say years of French military presence have not substantially improved security in Mali, which continues to be plagued by Al-Qaeda-affiliated insurgents.
We have come to the end of this news edition, but first let's review the main headlines. At the top stories, we saw that in Gabon, the Prime Minister, head of government, Rose Christian Osuka-Raponda, received in audience this Thursday, 20 January, Stanislas de Saint-Louvent, the Deputy Managing Director of Bollore Africa Logistics. Equally, in Gambia, talking politics, President Adama Barrow was sworn in for a second 5-year term. The ceremony took place in the Independence Stadium near the capital. It is always with a lot of pleasure that we choose to inform you every day. Information continues on G24 and our social medias. Subscribe, share, and follow. Stay seated, because at 8 p.m. local time, Gael Mapesi serves you information in French. It is equally time for me to thank the news director and the entire team, Warren Bibaya. Till we meet again, take care of yourself and keep practicing barrier gestures against COVID-19. Goodbye.